who is from the Kenya National Farmers Federation. Thank you so much, all of you, for making time to be here. At some point, mtaniambia, what is your favorite African traditional food? Ebu niambie kwanza. What's yours, Wangari?
Obviously, I'm biased. Mushrooms.
Oh, we do have wild mushrooms there from Kenya. Just talk over me.
The pumpkin leaves, what did we call them? Awesome with ugali.
Misheveve. All right. Awesome. Okay. And John?
I'll go with the misheveve.
You'll go. Everyone is going with it. Is it because it's trending or you genuinely love them? Really? Right. And you get all that from Kenya Store, right?
Yeah.
Great. So thank you so much for making time to be with us today. And this week we are talking about the fact that we marked the World Food Day. And I'll start with you, John. You see, wakati ule tuko na tree planting holidays or environment conservation holidays, we know activities that we're supposed to be doing on those days. We'll go plant trees, we'll go distribute seedlings. What activities are we supposed to engage in on the World Food Day so that we make sure that this is just not another fancy date in the calendar that just goes by like that? What should we be doing on this day?
Thank you.
Yeah.
First, I think priority should be sensitizing, especially the young people, on the importance of food security, and also involving them on what areas or at what angle should they contribute towards attaining food security in Kenya. So mainly go big on sensitization first.
Sensitization. Who is responsible for doing this sensitization, and is it happening as of now?
Who is responsible? First should be the ministry.
Right.
The government through the Ministry of Livestock, Agriculture, Livestock, Fisheries and Cooperation, and also to the agricultural institutions. Just like KENAF, we organize these events with the youths and also other farmers to make sure that we give them the knowledge and also capacity build their capacities in terms of what entails for them or what part should they play in terms of food security.
Great.
And also me and you, also in terms of social media, because we also engage youths in other spaces.
Right.
So we can go big on social media as influencers or individuals and also do the sensitization through those platforms.
Great. So this day should be dedicated to a lot of sensitization when it comes to food securities and matters agriculture. Great. I'll move to you, Wangari. Kenya boasts to be that country, that agricultural country. A lot of times you'll hear agriculture is the biggest contributor to a GDP. It creates employment and all these big, nice terms around agriculture. Yet, as a country, yearly, we're importing food worth about 520 billion. And this was confirmed recently by the Agriculture CS, Dr. Karanja, during a forum he was talking in. So the amount of food we're importing and what we're bragging of being is almost east and west.
Yes.
Why is that the situation at hand for a country that has so much potential in the space of agriculture?
Yeah, that's a great question. And we need to actually now move away from just talking big.
Yes.
That used to be the case. It's, however, not the case anymore. And one of the reasons is that we're seeing a rise in real estate coming up. And what does real estate how does it come about? It means that some farmer has to stop farming and do his mathematics and realize that, oh, I will get more money if I put up some apartments compared to my coffee farm or my maize farm or my tea plantation. And that has been devastating to our food security. And also, number two, I would add on the trend of having a lot of climate change issues. Drought is a big driver of pushing people out of food production. And then obviously we can't forget the high cost of production. We've seen a lot of farmers quitting because when they do the maths and what they're taking to the market and what they're getting in exchange, so they're abandoning that. So the notion is that when foreigners come, when we go out there, people love our avocados. People love that we are very, dedicated to farming. However, when we actually look at the metrics and the production rates, they are going down because of some of these factors. And then obviously we are focusing as a country on things like cash crops. When a country is focusing, yes, we get a good GDP from the foreign exchange with things like coffee and tea, but surely that can't feed a nation. We really need to think about our staples, being food secure. We import so much rice, yet we eat rice.
Yes.
We have become ugali and rice nation, yet we're importing our major staples. So we need to reprioritize as a country.
Yeah. So you've mentioned something very important on the reasons as to why we're importing food this much. And you've said climate change, drought, and mtu anataka real estate, asimamishe plot hapa, apartments kadhaa, make some money. Then how prepared are we for the increase in population? Because it's going to increase. It's actually increasing as we move. So how do we address that?
In 2050, they are estimating that there will be 50 billion people. That's 20 years away.
Yes.
So definitely there is an issue. But for us at Farm on Fires, you know, you've come to our farm. We are big on insect farming. We think it's the future. It's a great way to make food sustainable and also low in terms of production and can be able to feed people in masses. So I'm hoping that the next I'll see there will be some termites and something like that.
Some termites?
Yeah.
Right.
It's protein dense.
Right. Coming to you, Kathomi.
Yeah.
You're very big on social media as a farmer. Please talk to us about why that is very important and some of the impact you've been able to create through the social media platforms.
Yeah, a bit of what is happening in the food sector, which is food security, is more so on policy formulation, policy making, and you know, policy is touching on the government side. I think there's a disconnection between our food policies and our farmers, you know, our producers. 80% of Kenyan food producers are small-scale farmers. They are not large-scale farmers. So majorly, they are feeding the economy. And I feel there's a disconnect between policy making, policy implementation, and the actual farmer. Right now, the biggest problem in Kenya, all the farmers that I come across with, cost of production. I had cows, I stopped keeping cows, cost of production. I was doing pigs, I stopped doing pigs, cost of production. So what is the government doing in terms of policy and supporting the farmer? If we don't support the farmer, who feeds the country? We will continue increasing our imports. Right. So basically on social media, going by the tag Kilimo cha Haki, we want to empower the farmer. We want the government to support the farmer. There's a disconnect there. We want the farmer to say we want zero rate on taxes of food. I mean of farming inputs like fertilizer, like seeds, like pesticides. And when Wangari said that there's a lot of development happening on coffee farms, Nairobi was a farming area. Is the government irrigating arid areas? You know, how much of land do we have on irrigation? Because we're talking about climate change. What more can we do to increase our food production?
Right.
Yeah.
Great. So there needs to be a lot of effort being put in place to support the farmer.
Exactly.
And some of these policies are not favoring the farmers as of now.
They're not.
Great. Have we started having those conversations with the government officials, with the lawmakers? Is this something that we're already doing, or these are things that we know we should be doing, but we almost don't have access to where they are?
We are doing them from Kilimo cha Haki, which is a lobby group for farmers. We've even had meetings with members of parliament, and you can see lately there are a lot of bills that are being sponsored in parliament touching on food crops, not cash crops, food crops. When you're taking a bill on dengue, that's a food crop, but they think it's a cash crop, it's a food crop. When we take a bill in parliament on horticulture, we are talking about everything you see here. We are taking bills in parliament on rice. We are taking bills in parliament on, say, something like sugar. Right. All these are food crops. Right. So we are actually having conversations, and we are talking about members of parliament and our policy makers, Ministry of Agriculture, to listen more to the farmers. What kind of bills are they bringing in parliament? Are they protecting? Are they enhancing? Are they improving food production?
Right. We'll get to the bills a bit later, because I know there's some really strong 9 bills that very many farmers are quite angry about. We want to get into the details of that. But very quickly, John, I'll talk to you about, we are talking about food security, and mostly the effort is being put on, let us increase production, let us grow more, let us open up new spaces. Kama mchele ilikuwa inapandwa Mwea, let's try the Eastern. We have different kind of varieties that can do well there. But are we addressing other critical issues like food wastage? A third of the food that is produced does not make it to the table. All right, we lose about 1.3 billion tons a year of food. That is food that would have been eaten somewhere. That's a strain on natural resources. So what are we doing to make sure that as we work towards food security, we're not just addressing the increase part, we're also addressing the wastage part and every other aspect that contributes to food insecurity?
Well, thank you. When you talk about food security, we're not necessarily talking about the production. the production stage, we have different stages along the value chain. We have the distribution, we have the value addition, and all those stages are critical in terms of the end goal from production till consumption. So I think we need to look at facilities where we can decrease the post-harvest losses from farmers. And this also occurs in terms of market. And when we talk about market, we're not just talking about market. We're talking about good markets which give a price or give the farmer the pride of being a farmer. Because if you look at markets which are not giving good prices to their farm inputs, then a lot of farmers are going to hold on to their produce. And in that, it creates starvation, in that most of the food is being kept reserved until a later date where the price is going to be hiked. And in the process, the farmer may end up losing the food in terms of becoming a waste. So first we need to look at the market. Is the market there? Does the market price really suit the farmer? Does it give value? I look at the production rate. And if I sell this product, is it worth it doing that? I also calculate the number of times I've been in the farm, and also in terms of management of the farm. Once that is sorted, we look at the other factors in terms of distribution. Is the infrastructure well constructed to give the farmer a leeway from the production end to the market? We are going to decrease the issue of costs in terms of transportation, because if you have bad infrastructure, it leads to high costs. So I think these are also part of areas where I think we can go big and also address them in terms of food security.
And I think just to add on to John's point, and I think KENAF is really coming in a big way in capacity building of farmers, is go big on value addition, processing. You know, when a tomato or a mushroom has a lifespan of 7 days, a tomato 10 days. But if I turn that into tomato paste, we're talking about around 6 months. So let's also think about going heavy on value addition. Government has institutions on this. We're talking Kiridi. Ministry of Trade is also very intentional on this. People need to come up and take charge of this. They are citizens. These are their facilities.
Great. So we need to work on value addition. We need to storage facilities, preservation facilities for counties, right? Great. Now, still when you're speaking about food security, this food needs to be safe. And at this particular point, I feel like there's some sort of panic in the market on what are we eating. I saw a lady somewhere saying at this point she doesn't eat nyanya at all because, you know, she's been filled with these stories of chemical pesticides, and there's even sprays of keeping them green before someone gets the market. What can we do to also make sure that what we're eating is safe? And then we spend all our money treating lifestyle diseases later on. How can we guarantee safety in the food for our consumers?